continue. To the New Zealand Rally Championship now, round 3, the Rally of Whangarei, day 1 highlights in a moment. It's a pleasure to have Emma Gilmore with us once again. Emma, thanks for coming by.
Oh, thanks for having me.
A new Subaru Impreza for this one.
Yes, it was brand new cars, part of the Motor Image racing team. As Cody Crocker's teammate. So, yeah, it was a bit of a change jumping in this car. We'd done Rally Queensland with it, but, yeah, the car's still pretty new, really.
In terms of the setup then, you must have had a pretty good idea of what you were after, having done Rally Queensland.
Yeah, the car handles fantastic. Possum Born Motorsport have done a great job in building the cars and getting them to a really good point, but it's their first year running them, so they're still learning a bit on the go, and handling's fantastic, but we're just a little bit down on engine power as they're still learning to develop it.
I was going to ask you about the handling. In terms of the car that you drove for Rally Hawke's Bay and Rally Otago, how different was this one?
I mean, they're much of a muchness. It's a four-wheel drive car and they handle similar, but this car definitely has a lot more rear-end grip. They're very, very stable on the road, and so it actually worked really well up there in Whangarei with the high crests and big cambers on the road.
So think about the roads in Whangarei, you really get to throw it around a bit, don't you?
Yeah, they're fantastic roads because there's so much high speed. Because of the camber, it helps you stay in the corner and carry so much more speed, so they're a real buzz to drive on.
In the New Zealand Rally Championship, of course, we're used to seeing Glenn sitting beside you in the car, but you had someone different this time. It must take quite a bit of adjustment.
Yeah, it does. It was Rhiannon and I second event together, and yeah, it was definitely easier than the first event we did together because, you know, everything was a bit more used to each other. But in saying that, they both do a great job, both Glenn and Rhiannon, and you just get in and work well together and away you go.
Hard for her, though, because she's coming into a rally where she's not familiar really with the roads, whereas Glenn is.
Yes, that's true. That's true. She'd actually done the event the year previous with her brother in the Ford Fiesta, and her brother actually came over and drove my New Zealand Championship car as well, so... yeah.
Oh, so it all tied in very nicely.
Yeah, it did. It was great. So it got all my New Zealand sponsors' car and the Vantage Aluminium Joinery Subaru out there as well. So it was out there competing.
How much testing time did you get beforehand?
Not that much, actually. The cars basically just arrive from Queensland out of the container. The boys prepare them and we get to do the shakedown on the Friday before the event.
All right. Not much testing time. All right. Well, we'll see how it went then. We'll come back and talk some more after we've seen our feature on day 1 of the Rally of Whangarei. It's round 3 of the 5-round championship. Emma Gilmore was trying to track down Hayden Paddon and Richard Mason, who were the 2 drivers ahead of her in the championship after the opening 2 rounds.
Round 3 of 5 of the Vantage Aluminium Joinery New Zealand Rally Championship, and already 2 drivers have stood out as real contenders. Former champ Richard Mason took the honours in round 1. Hayden Paddon fought back to take the title in Otago. Now New Zealand's best come together at Whangarei for a skid over some of the finest rally stages in the world. But beware, these roads can bite, as Richard Mason found out in 2007. It's make or break for this year. Halfway point in the Vantage Aluminium Joinery New Zealand Rally Championship. This is fabulous Whangarei, gateway to sunny Northland, and the first port of call for many international yachts which flock to New Zealand each year. But for this one weekend, the city's taken over with rally fever. Friday night sees the New Zealand competitors share the limelight with the Asia Pacific Rally Championship, the event that runs parallel with the New Zealand champs. Hayden Paddon and Emma Gilmore are also APRC competitors, meaning they'll run ahead of the other New Zealand drivers.
Hayden second in the championship, you're starting 3 on the road, and you've got 2 championships to worry about this weekend.
2 championships, but 1 rally, I guess. We're not worried about all the championships surrounding and competitions that we're involved in this weekend, just worried about going out and doing our own thing and trying to be as quick as possible, which is going to be a little bit tougher being higher up the road. We struggled at the start of the year. We found a few issues before Otago. The smaller gap between Otago and here have meant that we haven't been able to develop the car as much as we like, but we have still found a few small areas. But we've always gone well here. I quite like the roads. It's quite fast, quite cambered, obviously, and it allows us to carry a lot of car speed and maybe chuck the car around a bit more than what we would at other rounds. So I'm looking forward to it.
The aim is always to finish, to make sure you get good championship points in the bank. But, you know, it's the midway point for the New Zealand Championship and really want to improve on our placing at the moment. We're currently 3rd, which is great. But, you know, we've had a few little niggles and I suppose we just want to improve on that so that we're more towards the pointy end of the field heading towards the last 2 events.
Sarah Mason and the Impreza.
2-time New Zealand
Deputy President of Motorsport New Zealand as well for starting their races. And up onto the stage now, the Deputy Mayor, Kahu Sutherland.
It's actually probably not a bad place to be. It's sort of at that point where there's a little bit of sweat road, but not so much that you're defined on the line that you have to take, you know, so you can still sort of choose your way a little bit. So, you know, it could be quite good.
This rally here, I guess, hasn't been the best for you over the years.
Oh, it's been a bit of a tough one for us. When it used to be a WRC event, it was awesome for us. But ever since it's been an APRC event, man, what a shocker we've had. So, I don't know, it would be good just to get to the end of it, eh?
In 2008, Chris West scored his first international rally win at Whangarei, so his team have been working hard to bring his older Evo 8 back into contention this year.
It'd be nice to be back there on the podium somewhere, but you know, probably not as good a position as what we were last year to repeat, but we'll see.
After running alongside the Group N cars for the first 2 rounds, the open class cars are forced to run at the back of the field here as they don't meet FIA regulations.
You've driven these roads a lot of times and you've almost got to be quite brave through here, don't you?
Oh, not so much that. A matter of keeping the car in the right place on the road with all the cameras and things. You've got to make the car dance nicely, and the times will come without actually being that brave. When we used to be able to beat the WRC times up here, it wasn't being over-aggressive, it was just driving tidy.
Like you say, you're running down the order, so in the first run you're going to have a very good road condition.
Oh yeah, definitely. Even the second run, the roads don't deteriorate up here. They used to run the WRC cars over them twice and they were still beautiful condition afterwards, so I'm not worried about that at all.
And 2 locals will compete this weekend. Kirsty Nelson returns to the championship, but the best chance lies with the local hero, Ben Jagger.
The home event's always good to come to. I think it'll give us a bit of an advantage, sort of, to say. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a good event, I think.
Currently, you're leading the championship in the Fiestas, so it's been a good year so far.
Yeah, it has been a very good year. I mean, we finished Hawke's Bay and we finished Otago, and now we're here to do it again and take away maximum points from up here.
So while the crews head off from the start, let's check out the Vantage stage preview with Emma Gilmore.
Day 1 of the NAC International Rally of Whangarei starts with a brand new stage, Whangarei Caves. It's only a short stage at 14 kilometres long and it'll be a really nice warm-up, but you won't want to be caught sleeping, especially for the last section, which shares the same finish as Waipu Caves from last year. Definitely some big drops, big crests, speaking from personal experience, of course. Stage 2 Cassidy at 30 kilometres long is a relatively new stage. It ran in this direction for Rally New Zealand several years ago and is another fantastic Northland stage. Tight and twisty with big camber in sections, it also has some very fast areas. After a refuel, Special Stage 3 Mitatai shares the same start as Bull from last year. Again, another awesome stage with high speed and hopefully not too much gravel over the 34-kilometre piece of road. We then head to our first visit of the Super Special stage in Whangarei. It's awesome to be able to have a Super Special stage right in the heart of the city, as it makes it really easy for spectators to come along and cheer us on. It's only 1.5 kilometres long, but still enough time to be able to make a mistake, which you definitely don't want to do. After service, we head out to an exact repeat of the first 4 morning stages. Tyre choice will be really critical here, as the stage should now be a lot more dry, a lot more swept, which will result in a lot faster times. It's a real buzz to be able to compete on these same stages that years ago had the likes of Colin McRae, Marcus Gronholm, Marco Allen, all the famous rally stars of yesterday competing on these same stages. We then head to a final short blast around the Whangarei Super Special stage. Great way to finish day 1 of NAC International Rally of Whangarei.
Rally Whangarei is unique in the championship and running 4 stages before each service. That puts extra wear on the tyres, so cars are allowed to carry 2 spare tyres. But more importantly, Roger, tyre choice is going to be critical.
Yes, tyre choice is critical, and the other thing is tyre management is going to be critical as well. Now, Hayden Patton, he's gone for the 205 Dunlop, the medium tyre, the medium compound. He's got a bit of a clearing cut on it, and he's the leading Kiwi on the road.
Of course, a big change for Emma Gilmore here. She's entered in the 2009 APRC, so her card this weekend is one of the new Subaru Imprezas. Potentially a very quick car, Roger.
Yes, it certainly is. It's got a bit of sorting to do. We've seen this car in the Rally New Zealand last year with a few overseas drivers driving it, but this is the first time we've seen a New Zealander drive this new Impreza spec car.
The other big change, she's got a new co-driver, Rhiannon Smythe, for this event, so a new combination.
Yes, the first time they were together was the first round of the Asia Pacific Championship in Queensland a few weeks ago.
So the 7 APRC cars are in the stage now. Richard Mason given that 4-minute gap before he starts, so that there is no chance of him catching any slower drivers.
Well, Richard missed a gear there. Now he's in the perfect position to take advantage of the sweat road conditions. He's gone out on the same tyres as Hayden Padden, the 205 Dunlops, the medium type tyre.
Short 4 left minus and 4 right minus and 4 left, long 3 right plus.
Chris West has talked about the changes his team has made. Will they be able to match the pace today, though? Remember, he's the defending rally champion from Whangarei.
3, 2, 1, go.
So just a wee bit of pressure riding on his performance today.
Well, if we cast our memory back to last year and Chris won the rally, but he did it right from the start where he pulled a blinder on the first stage. Can he do it again? Now this crew, they've got Neil Allport, Choice, Chris Little, the whole lot of them. They're up here to help him this weekend.
Yes, the Andrew Sims Rally Out New Zealand team pulling out all the stops. Let's see what the pace is going to be like. Cody Crock has already finished the stage. He was the leading APRC driver. His time was 8 minutes 04.2. Padden looks to be faster. Yes, 7:55. Emma Gilmore through the stage now. Of course, this is where she had the massive accident a couple of years ago.
Yes, and it's always going to be in the back of her mind as well, but she's driving pretty well at the moment.
Got that monkey off her back last year.
Absolutely, she's showed good pace, and good pace here too. 8:04.7.
Matching the pace of teammate Crocker. So can Richard Mason take advantage of his road position and take the early lead in Rally Whangarei?
Well, as we said earlier, he's in the perfect position. Big cut there. The other thing worked, gone a little bit wide on that one, but Richard is a master of tyre management as well, so that could come into play.
Down to the finish line, and he's 5 seconds slower than Padden. Right, let's take a look at what Chris West can do.
Short 7 left minus 120.
Well, it's looking good for a good time here.
7:57.6. That's an encouraging sign from the former champ. Back on the pace. We'll have to wait and see if the open class cars can be competitive as they're running further down the order. But for now, it's the championship rookies and the juniors having their little battle for the 5th to 10th place positions. Kieran Hall, first of this group. His time 8 minutes 13.3, so quite a bit slower. Sloane Cox is gunning for the junior championship this year. He's had some problems on the new Mitsubishi Evo 10, so Roger, I guess, he'll be looking to turn it around this weekend.
Yes, he will, but remember last year he had a crash in this rally, so he'll definitely be looking to improve on that. But these roads here, they're very, very technical, and there's a lot to learn with the camber and the speed of these roads. It's very hard for a young driver to learn and be on the pace straight away.
Let's see if that's going to produce a good time today. 8:17.1, so slightly quicker than Hall. It's another Evo 10 on the start line now. Kingsley Thompson, the Northland man. This car last seen down a riverbank in Otago.
Yes, and having this team done a great job to get this car back and running in such a short time as well. The car looks absolutely immaculate, and this is Kingsley's home rally.
Little off the pace here, though. 8 minutes 26. When we first met Matt Jansen in Hawke's Bay, he was impressed as a rookie who was on to top 5 pace, but a bad run in Dunedin put a dent in his rookie title aspirations.
Well, the roads in Otago are completely different to here. These roads are a little bit similar to what Hawke's Bay were, and of course Matt did that rally, so maybe here it could suit him.
His time 8 minutes 20.4 puts him ahead of Thompson, trailing Hall by 3 seconds. Josh Marsden, another rookie. He's had lots of experience by his side though, and co-driver Crunch Bennett. In fact, Josh virtually tied with Thompson on the stage. Not bad in his older Evo 8. Now, we talked about the open class cars being forced to run down the field because of the FIA regulations in this rally. Glenn Inkster running 31st on the road. The first two potentially post the top time.
Yes, and they've got a swept road running way down there. Absolutely tailor-made for these open cars.
5 right plus 120 across the finish. 300.
Let's see if Glenn can make an impression. 8 minutes 13.3. That's 5th fastest time so far. Straight away, Jeff Argyle posted a faster time. 8 minutes 3.1. So let's see how that affects the top 10. Argyle moves to 4th, while Padden takes the lead.
Glenn Inkster in 6th place, Sloane Cox 7th, and Thompson rounds out the top 10.
Now, the first of the 2 longer stages on the Rally of Whangarei, Cassidy is normally run in the reverse direction, so again, a new challenge for the drivers this year. A long stage like this, running first on the road is going to be tough for Patton. Remember, he just has the APRC cars of Cody Crocker and Taguchi in front of him, while Richard Mason is running 8th on the road, so should get the advantage of the clear road conditions.
Yes, it certainly will give the clear advantage to Richard Mason. Just listen to the gravel on the road here. So Hayden is, he is a road sweeper. You can see a bit of oversteer. He's struggling a little bit here. Remember, Cody Crocker, who's been one on this road before in this rally, he's always struggled.
So as Patton arrives at the first split, his time is 3:43.2. So can Emma Gilmore move up a place here? She was just under 2 seconds behind Argyle in the battle for 4th and 5th, but as Argyle is running so far behind her on the road, she'll be totally oblivious to this.
Yes, we did actually speak to Emma at the start about this as well. What she's going to do is concentrate on her rally, and she's going to concentrate on catching up Hayden Patton.
Yes, even Patton and Westy will be struggling to know what Mason's time is here. 3:46.1 for Gilmore. That's her split time. Richard Mason just a 5.5 second deficit going into the stage. And remember, this stage is 3 times as long, so if Mason is off the pace here, he could lose some time.
Yes, he could lose some time, but this road looks extremely swept for him, so he's in the perfect position like we said before.
Under the famous railway bridge. Let's take a look at Mason's split time, 3:45.2. So he's lost a bit of time to Patton. Now remember too that Chris West was on the same pace as Patton on stage 1, but will tyre choice come into play here? Westy running on Yokohama tyres, so he has a different tyre wear rate to Patton's Dunlops.
Well, let's see what his split time is going to be. 3:47.4, that's pretty good considering he's on hard compound tyres.
So there your top 4, and Hayden Patton will be hoping to keep the rally lead this morning, but of course he doesn't know what's happening behind him.
And all he's got to do is just go for it.
Loves to chuck it in around these beautiful cambered roads.
Yeah, you can see he's losing a bit of time there on these roads, though, Clint.
Sweeping the gravel for the other cars behind him down to the line. What's his time? 19:01.2, faster than the APRC car of Cody Crocker again. Can Emma Gilmore get to the early pace of Patton then? She was equal to Crocker on stage 1. On this stage, he did a 19 minutes 30, so 12 seconds down on Patton, but he is sweeping the road ahead.
Well, Emma's got a better road position. She's actually looking quite good and quite smooth. She's gone for the 205 Pirelli tyre. It's a little bit narrower than a normal 205. Could suit her.
But she's slower. 19:18.5. Maybe a problem? So can Richard Mason even match the times being set by Patton? He's close to the split early in the stage, just behind by a couple of seconds.
Well, it's Richard Mason putting in one of his big hard charges, particularly at the end of this stage. And we notice it's raining a little bit, so that'll help him. He's got his eyes on, he's trying. He's looking good.
So Richard with the race face on.
Very good.
Easily under 19 minutes, 18:53.8. He takes the rally lead by just 1.9 seconds. And Chris West slightly down at the split. Bit of a struggle.
Yes, it looks like there's a problem inside this car.
Short 5 left minus into 4.
He's well down on time.
Not a great time for Westy. Down to the line, 19:24 seconds, so he's got problems, and Westy drops from 2nd to 3rd. Now, the rookie battle was heating up with Kieran Hall moving up on the stage. Again, he didn't have the pace of the top 4, but was just 9 seconds off Westy's pace. And Matt Jensen also improved on the stage, but he was still significantly slower than Hall, losing about 20 seconds to the Nelson driver.
The big gaps are because these roads are so technical.
Rotorua Sloane Cox went back 2 places on the stage, losing 1 minute and 12 seconds to the leaders. Costly too.
Yeah, Sloane's got a problem in this stage, and remember, this is the stage where he went over last year.
Kingsley Thompson retained his pace with a stage time of 20 minutes 1.1, despite that little oops, and getting very close to our cameraman. But once again, it's the open cars that would bust into the top 10. Jeff Argyle was 4th fastest through the stage and held 4th ahead of Emma Gilmore. Glenn Inkster, 5th fastest through the stage.
Well, the disadvantage the open cars have got is they're actually running on pump gas as Glenn almost goes around there. But the Group N cars are on the WRF fuel, which is a lot more potent. But they do have good swept roads for the open cars.
And those conditions helping Inkster to stay in 6th place. Stephen Barker has a new Evo 7 for this rally. He was the big mover on the stage, storming up from 15th to 11th.
3 rallies so far, and this is the 3rd car that Stephen Barker's been in the championship, but he absolutely assures us this is it. He's going to stay with the Evo 7 and even bring it out next year for the championship.
5 right, 30, 5 left minus, 120.
In the rest of the top 20, Josh Marsden lost a place and dropped to 12th on this stage, but this is a harsh learning environment for the rookies. This is a Pirelli Star Driver round 2 and had attracted Kirsty Nelson back for the rally. She lacked the pace of the other drivers, having not rallied this season so far, the local. The Fiesta battle was as fierce as ever. This time, Daniel Harris had the upper hand for the morning, showing off the potential that we know exists in the young driver. And of course, they love young Ben up here at Northland. That wasn't enough to keep him in the lead. He was fastest on stage 1, but lost 20 seconds on stage 2 to Daniel Harris. Patrick Melly had his mum in the co-driver's seat, just a little bit down on pace, just 1.3 seconds down, so good work, mum. And all the pressure on Rally New Zealand scholarship winner Ben Hunt on his first outing up north. He was 40 seconds down by stage 2. But at least he was still going. This spelt the end of Dominic Unterberger's day. With both rear wheels were ripped off, he ended up Gonberger. Well said. Adam Bly returns to the top 20 for the first time since his Hawke's Bay debut. And Lee Stringer was back with a fresh engine in his old Evo 2 after missing Rally Otago. And Alex Kelsey makes his championship debut in the open class. But it's Richard Mason laying down the challenge up front by just 1.9 over Padden.
Glenn Inkster doing well to be in 6th place in his Evo 6, but Kieran Hall, the top rookie, in 7th place.
Stephen Barker's the man on the move in 11th, and Daniel Harris leads the Fiestas. Stage 3, Mitatai Road is another 34 kilometres and the road has recently been graded and gravelled, so definitely a disadvantage to those running up front like Hayden Padden. Cops the full brunt of it, just 2 cars ahead of him, remember?
Yes, and the problem here for Hayden Padden is he could be running out of tyres, or at least tyre grip, put it that way.
Crocker's time was 19 minutes 30, so let's see if Padden can do better than that. He's beaten the Aussie so far all day.
Oh, nearly a big moment there. I think Hayden is definitely struggling with front grip on this car.
Down towards the finish, he's still going to be faster than the Aussie though, 17.1. Emma Gilmore running another 2 cars behind Padden, so this is unlikely to be a better situation for her. Her time 19:37.5, so no improvement. So talk about a gift for Richard Mason. He's got the better road conditions and he knows the times to beat as well.
Well, Richard getting a little bit wide there. Well, as far as the road order situation is concerned, the FIA insist on APRC cars must run in the front group. But Cody Crocker says this is a disadvantage to the APRC cars every year.
And one guy's not complaining as Mason, you can see, once again he's blitzed them. He's happy, a 12-second lead to Paddon. Chris West dropped back to 5th here.
Yeah, the problem is he's running those hard compound tyres. They're really not working. Can't get enough heat in them.
Jeff Argyle had an even better road condition, so 3rd fastest on the stage, now 3rd overall. Rob Wiley had been leading the classics, but of course was running down the order just ahead of the open class cars. But his rally came to an abrupt end on stage 3 when he rolled onto this bridge. Fortunately, Rob and co-driver Paul Turner were okay, but the same can't be said for his historic Nissan.
We unfortunately got a little bit wide, and there's no real excuses. Made an error and got out a bit wide, and then the tail slid into the bridge side and flicked us round and did quite a lot of damage.
So the big change in the stage is Mason's lead and Argyle getting 3rd at the expense of West. A super spectator stage around Pui Island to entertain a large crowd, and Richard Mason was on the pace here too, winning and extending his lead over Paddon by 0.6 seconds. After something different, here's Glenn Inkster's view of the stage and his own commentary.
It's quite rough through here, but coming down to nice tight right-hander, get it turned in, drift a bit sideways. Now here for the hairpin, definitely don't want to cock this up. And one more corner for the stage. About 1 minute, 10 seconds, something like that.
Actually, quite a bit faster there, Inky. 1 minute exactly. Thanks very much. The service park is next to the marina in downtown Whangarei, and for the first time, Hayden Paddon is aware of Mason's pace.
Hayden, a good start this morning, but won the first stage, but now 13.2 behind Richard in the service park.
You know, we're happy with that. Last night when we regrouped, if we were any less than 20 behind Richard, we would have been happy. Obviously being a bit further behind and slightly better road position. There is still a lot of loose gravel around, but hey, we're happy. We've got a repeat run of those stages now, so we're about to put our foot down, and much like the position that we're normally in here when we come here.
But it turns out that Mason didn't have perfect road conditions either.
It's a funny surface here, and even when you get down the field, okay, there might be a bit of a swept line, but there's still little marbles on the surface, and you've got to get through them to get down to the hard road underneath.
Chris West has gone backwards through the morning and was blaming his tyre choice after stage 1.
Chris, before the start, you said you're going to throw it down on the first stage. You certainly did.
Yeah, we had a good start, but just sort of fallen a bit off the rail on the last 2. But it's given a chance here at the service to regroup and make some changes that are necessary for this afternoon.
What problems did you have this morning?
Oh, nothing significant. Like the car, I just really struggled for the balance in the car, and we put a medium, like a harder compound on for the second stage, which was probably not the right thing. And obviously reverted back to that for the last one, but the intercom disappeared on us in the last stage, and it just makes things difficult.
Jeff Argyle has surprised all the top 10 competitors, but he's got problems at service too.
Jeff currently 3rd place, but you had a few problems.
Yeah, unfortunately it's had a bad misfire in it, and it blew a fuse in the diff pump, so we've had no central diff at all. And we've had 2 or 3 big moments, and we had a spin and all sorts of things, so very annoying. If the car was right, we'd be right in it.
We haven't had the flashes first 2 rounds, and so it's just nice to get some confidence back. Being 6th, we're pretty happy. It's not that far off to the couple in front of us as well.
Stephen, a few problems there. You got held up by the Rob Wiley incident this morning.
Yeah, I understand Robert hit the bridge and blocked the road, and several cars had stopped to help. It was just unfortunate that Alex Kelsey had popped out onto the road in front of us, and we caught him after probably a K from the bridge, so we're held up for 10 Ks or something like that, so it's a bit of time lost, but we'll push on and see what happens for the rest of the day.
Patrick Murray may have come into this rally as the Fiesta favourite, but he's finding the competition tough this morning.
Getting in the groove in the first stage was always a bit difficult, but 3rd time lucky, steering wheel started coming off again. Steering wheel seemed to be such a thing with me that they just want to come loose, so it was a bit interesting in stage 3, but we're here and it's tight and we're ready to go for the next one.
Daniel, been a pretty good morning so far. You currently lead in the Fiestas.
Yeah, we weren't expecting that. We were kind of lucky in a way that Ben Jagger and Patrick had a little bit of problems, but we'll take it and hopefully we'll keep ahead.
Coming up, we repeat the stages and the times drop on the Rally Highway. Welcome back. Now, before we race through the final stages of day one, pace notes are used in all the New Zealand Championship rallies. And at Rally Whangarei, drivers are allowed to drive twice over the stages to write and check their notes. For drivers like Sloane Cox and co-driver David Calder, this is a big step up and can make a huge difference to their performance.
Notes really help the driver to drive the road safely and fast. Basically, they're giving a description of the road, which helps him to position the car in the right place, coming into corners, and particularly where you've got crease and you can't see over them. So notes give him information to help him pass the stage in the quickest possible time.
Difference to this rally is that it's an international event, so drivers from overseas come over, and that allows the recce to be a two-pass recce, so we get to go across the road twice.
What we're doing today is making our own notes. So we're going over the road in a road car, just at normal road speed, normal road rules. Basically writing down a description of the road as Sloane calls it, and then second pass we do a check on those notes, just tweak them, make any changes we need to, and yeah, go from there. Okay, what we've got here is the pace notes, which we've written down today as we're recceing the stages. Basically 30, 5 right to a long 5 left opens. This is telling the driver that the corner opens out as he drives around it, and that he can basically keep his foot hard up it. 30 metres, and then we're onto a tarmac section of the stage. Typically they're all gravel. Small section of tarmac here. 4 left minus onto a bridge.
Long 5 left opens, 30. Tarmac, 4 left minus, bridge, 30. 5 right cut, 5 left over bridge.
It is as important as the rally itself. The job that you do on the event is really reflected by how well you've done your recce, so it's absolutely crucial, because what you've noted down here reflects instantly in how you're driving the car and where it's positioned on the road.
So back at the Whangarei Cave stage, the road well swept now, so it's unlikely any of the positions will change.
Well, if you look at the roads here, you've got two solid lines here, and Hayden Patton has gone for the wider tyre. He's gone for the 215.
His first stage time was 7:55, so this time round he's 10 seconds quicker. Without the advantage of road order, Richard Mason is now level pegging with Patton. His time through the stage was 7 minutes 46.9. That's 1.9 slower than Patton, but a whopping 13 seconds faster than his first run.
4 left.
So no position changes on this stage as expected, but an outstanding performance by Glenn Inkster. He was third fastest on the stage, just 6 seconds behind Patton in what is a very old car.
Old car, but you've got to be really fast on the pace notes through these sections. So the co-driver, a big job to do.
7 right plus, short 6 left opens, flat small crest 60, late 6 left minus 100.
Right, special stage 6. Now, we've already seen the difference that a swept road makes, and with 2 long stages ahead of the drivers now, that difference will become absolutely huge, especially for this man, Hayden Patton.
Well, with the swept roads, this should suit Hayden Patton. This could be his chance where he could gain on Richard Mason's lead. Now, Hayden's gone for the wide tyre. Absolutely crucial to stay on those wheel tracks.
Patton's split time 7 minutes. Now remember, even though he's back down the field, the roads are being swept, so now Mason hasn't got that advantage.
Well, just have a look at that. He's put his spare tyres on the rear, his brand new ones. The master of tyre management. What is he up to? Well, he's on exactly the same tyres as Hayden Patton. He's gone for the 215s, as we said before. Crucial to stay on these tyre tracks, because if you get out into the loose stuff, you can start counting the seconds as you get in there, and you have a bad stage time.
200, 7 right.
Right, what's his split time going to be? Remember, Patton's was 7 minutes. Oh, look at that, exactly the same. So Patton Looks like he's going to be challenged here. Let's see what he can do as they race down towards the finish.
Well, he won't know Richard's time, but I think we've got a big challenge on here.
18:34.3, that's 20 seconds faster than Mason's morning time.
26.5 seconds quicker than last time.
But the question is, will it be enough?
Well, I don't think it will be, because look at the pace that Richard's got through here. He's keeping that thing right in the wheel tracks, as we said earlier.
Remember too, this is his bogey rally, always has problems.
But he's on for a good one here, Clint.
Can he finally wipe out the hoodoo this weekend in Whangarei? He smashed 30 seconds off his stage time, and that will take the lead out to 25 seconds. So the battle for the lead has moved Mason and Patton ahead, but an intriguing battle for third now. Emma Gilmore was 6 seconds behind Jeff Argyle going into the stage. Can she improve here?
Now remember, Argyle had that big advantage. Now it's even.
4 left, 6 right, 4 left minus. Good job.
18:45.7, 25 seconds slower than Mason.
33 better than before.
But quicker than this morning pace. Chris West involved in this battle too. He's shown signs of improvement after service. Changed the soft tyres, but he's slower than Gilmore, 18:59.6. But there was a change of position. Jeff Argyle just 5th fastest on the stage. That dropped him to 4th, 10 seconds behind Emma Gilmore. Inkster held his 6th place. Not been able to repeat that earlier time.
4 left plus.
Well, there's a good reason for that, because he's on exactly the same road conditions as he had this morning. Just a little bit extra rain, probably.
Yes, by the time he went through, the road is well and truly already swept. Kieran Hall still leading the rookies, was now 7th overall, but 35 seconds down on Inkster. And Kingsley Thompson, steady in 8th place. He was trading times with Sloane Cox on the stages, but consistency keeping him ahead. But only just on this stage, Cox was 5.7 seconds faster. That moved him to within a second of Thompson.
Well, last year, inexperience cost Sloane here. He rolled the car. This year, he's in a great battle in the Evo 10 battle.
Speaking of competition, Stephen Barker was benefiting from a challenging drive. Consistently top 10 stage times and now 10th overall.
He's got a very good road condition as well. A lot of future for this driver. He's a pretty quick driver.
So let's update the rally lead. It's Richard Mason hanging on to that advantage, 25 seconds in front of Patton. Emma Gilmore now taking over 3rd place.
Glenn Inkster in 6th place, Kieran Hall leading rookie, and Stephen Barker in the top 10.
And coming up, can anyone match Mason's pace? Welcome back to Rally Whangarei, and talk about a classic day after Rob Wiley had the big crash with the bridge. It turned out to be a great afternoon for this man, Mike Cameron, now taking control of the classic field. So the Taranaki farmer was making the most of his advantage. Also the biodiesel Skoda, second best so far in the battle with Reg Cook in the Nissan Micra. Finally having a trouble-free day in the little wee car. Daniel Harris was leading the Fiestas, but on stage 6, that took a turn for the worse when he rolled heavily.
Came over the crest here and thinking it was a 7 right into a 7 left, and it was actually a 4 right. So I came over the corner and I should have been in 3rd gear, and I was actually in 5th gear flat, so there was no way we were getting round.
So the Fiesta battle turned around again. Ben Hunt 3rd. But Ben Jagger lost his race with Malley by 25 seconds in the end. Malley had no repeat of the loose steering wheel problems, which slowed him in the morning, and he was the first Fiesta and 11th overall. Fourth in the open class cars for Lee Stringer in the Evo 2. Jansen, 10th overall, 4th in the rookie class. Great debut day for Stephen Barker, third rookie, third open class in his new car. Despite being held up on stage 3, he was 8th.
Yes, a very good effort too, and I think we're going to see a lot more of this young fella. Admittedly, it's his home rally, but he's driven pretty good today.
We've still got 10 Ks, it's quite a long way. 86 left.
Go for a tyre change then?
Yeah.
Right, you can hear the two guys talking behind the wheel, Slowden Cox and David Caldier. Went behind the scenes with the co-driver's story, and it's disaster for Sloane Cox. A puncture, losing him over 3 minutes and dropping him out of the top 10. And of course, things like punctures are things you can't plan for during a recce.
And they've got 10 kilometres to go on the stage, so they'd be forced to pull over as he is now. They have to change that tyre.
So Kingsley Thompson finished 9th, but he'd lost a place to Barker. Kieran Hall was consistent all day to be top rookie. And a great result for Glenn Inkster, 6th place here, so a solid performance at last this season.
Good to see Glenn have a good run for a change.
Don't go wide. 5 right plus, narrow, short 6 left plus, 7 right minus 50, small crest, 6 right minus 50.
Jeff Argyle topped the open class and had shown potential speed despite mechanical problems. In fact, Chris West overtook Argyle on the stage to claim 4th.
Well, change this afternoon on the soft tyres, and it certainly has worked.
Good to see Westy back on the pace. Emma Gilmore was 3rd again in her New Zealand debut in the new Impreza.
40 loose. Care 4 right minus, tightens, narrows. 4 right tightens. 6 left.
Hayden Padden had taken the battle right from the front, but in the end the road position was too much of a penalty with just the spectator stage to run. The gap to Mason now 26 seconds, so once again 2nd place, the best he could do.
100.
But he's certainly trying, but maybe again he's running out of tyres as well. The car's all over the road again.
Plus. 100.
A lot of oversteer. That thing's doing RS 1800 impersonations.
100 to finish, 120. Long 5 right plus.
And finally, after 3 years of bad luck, Richard Mason doing his impersonation of a finisher in Rally Whangarei. Just happy to get to the finish at the end of day 1.
Well, the master in action, I'll tell you, he's outsmarted everybody today. Tactically today for him has been perfect. Tyre management, he's really played the card here. He deserves the win.
6th left, 100 over finish. 80, long 5 right. Good job.
Richard, looks like the same plan as this morning where early on you backed off on the first stage.
Yeah, we did. We did back off on the first stage again, protected those tyres and had good tyres all the way to the finish.
One short stage and you might be able to half conquer this rally.
Well, let's get through that. But yeah, man, it's been tough, so we need to do that, and then tomorrow we can hopefully have a good run too.
So a short sprint around the Powie Island spectator stage. Great for the fans, but no change to the results. Richard Mason, the victor on day 1 of Rally Whangarei.
Yes, this is Richard at his best today. We've seen it before. We saw it at Hawke's Bay. We saw the big run down at Otago in one of the stages. He's done it again. He's a very clever, smart thinking rally driver.
Long 4 right opens.
Didn't work then, did it?
No, repeat long 4 right opens.
He's allowed the odd mistake though.
Always still thinking behind the wheel then, even in a sprint stage like this.
Shocker.
But in the end, it wasn't a shocker for Mason. 25.1 seconds, the winning margin over Hayden Padden. Emma Gilmore coming home in 3rd. Western Argyle round out the top 5.
Leading rookie driver Kieran Hall in 7th. Leading junior driver Stephen Barker in 8th overall.
Patrick Malley topping the Ford Fiestas from the local man Ben Jagger. Kirsty Nelson coming home 13th in a return to the championship.
And disaster for Sloane Cox in 18th place.
But relief and a rally victory for Richard Mason.
Woo-hoo, yeah, no, that's the way to do it. I don't know, we're pretty happy with today's effort. We had a pretty tough run this morning with suspension, but once we got that under control this afternoon was really good.
Looks like your experience came through, particularly in the way you held back.
Yeah, sure. The first stage in the morning and then the first one after service, we took it easy on the tarmac. I didn't want to take all the edges off the tyres and really wear it down a bit, so we didn't have good tyres later on.
Hayden Richard just a little bit too far down the road today.
Yeah, look, he set a blindingly fast stage time there later in the day, which we don't really have any answers for, but overall we're pretty happy with the day. We set some good times, especially this morning on the loose gravel. We've struggled in the past, but we seem to be making some good inroads with the car set up and my driving on that, so hopefully that means it'll be all right tomorrow morning when we're going to be in the loose gravel again. A few cars ahead of Richard, but we just have to keep chipping away at it.
Emma, well done, third place again.
Yeah, no, very happy to have third place today in the New Zealand Championship. It's been a good day, nice solid day. Rhiannon and I worked well together in the car. The car's working well, and it's just sort of getting used to it as a second event in the car, and it's been good. Hopefully we'll build on that for tomorrow and show more speed.
And you kindly lent your car to Brendan Reeve, and we see it in the background, and he's third overall in the rally at the moment.
Yeah, he's doing a really good job, so it's good to see the car up there and Brendan doing such a good job. I think the car just needs to have to get used to making a habit of being first or second, not third, but no, third's better than what we were having last year, so no, very happy.
At lunchtime you said that you're going to attack, and you certainly did.
Yeah, we managed to pull out quite a bit of time, but Daniel wasn't making it easy, but obviously he pushed a little bit too hard and went off, so hopefully he'll be back tomorrow because I'd love to resume that battle.
Talking to you in one of the stages out there, and you're saying, like you're previously saying, that you throw a blanket over the top four.
Oh, yeah, and that's the best thing about the class. The cars are exactly the same, all these Fiestas, and they're prepared beautifully, same Dunlop tyres, they work well, and it's just down to the drivers and whoever's quickest, and I can't say anything more about it. It's absolutely fantastic.
Coming up next week, the fantastic roads of the far north deliver more excitement and a down-to-the-wire finish on Rally Whangarei.
Richard Mason taking out day one from Hayden Paddon. Emma Gilmore was third. She's our guest this afternoon. Emma, you come to the end of the day. What happens?
It's a bit of a time for reflection, actually. Like, the day happens quite quickly. You sort of go from stage to stage and then back to service. But at the end of the day, it's a good opportunity to sometimes look over your in-car video and just sort of have a think about what you're going to do differently tomorrow and to attack. So
how long would the day be?
Whangarei is actually quite a compact event. Like, we started at a reasonable hour, sort of like 8 in the morning, and usually finish sort of by 5 o'clock. It's actually probably the service crews that have the hardest, longest day because they're there setting up early and finishing late.
Always the ones behind the scenes, isn't it? Never the star who has to put in the hours. You talk about going back and talking about what's happened during the day. End of day one, Rally Whangarei. What are you talking about in terms of day two that we'll see next week?
We had to think about the car setup and just a little bit in the brake setup with our car. It's handling well, but it was definitely down on power than my New Zealand car. But, I mean, it was what we had, and we just had to deal with it and get as good a result as we could.
How did you feel you'd gone as far as the APRC had gone?
I was very happy against the Asia Pacific field, and in a lot of ways that's all I could compare against was against my teammate Cody Crocker, because he's in the sister car, and we're actually very close to Cody's pace and to Taguchi's pace. So that was really encouraging, but for me, it's also the New Zealand Championship, and I was definitely further away from Hayden and Richard than what I would have liked to have been.
As far as the new co-driver was concerned, given that Glenn is not a million miles away from us as we speak, can you make a comparison between the two?
Rhiannon hasn't been co-driving as long as Glenn. Like, Glenn's very, very good and very experienced, but they both do a fantastic job. Glenn is very good with his inflection of his voice and almost like telling a story, and Rhiannon is getting there, but it's experience. It's like me with my driving, it's going to take time until I'm really, really good, and it's the same with co-driving.
Tone is so important, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Yes. You're going to come and co-drive for me?
I would say that's ill-advised, actually. What about Brendan getting your car home, your New Zealand car home in one piece on day one?
Yeah, no, he did a great job, and it was great to see Ems out there, with all my sponsors on display, having such a good result.
In the commentary, Roger mentioned the difference in fuel between the classes. What difference do you think it made?
It does make a difference, not so much in horsepower, but definitely in torque. And torque makes a big difference in the rally car because the torque is basically what gets you between corner to corner as quick as possible. So it is quite an improvement.
Okay, interesting. All right, Emma, thanks for coming by. Lovely to see you again.
Cool, thank you.
All right, Emma Gilmore. Yes, we'll see Emma and all of the other New Zealand Rally Championship title contenders next week on the second and final day of the Rally of Whangarei as the drive.